Here we are set up for a two-player game of Canopy Evergreen. So my opponent would also set up their board similar to this, but you are going to give each player a wildlife card that's got a star on it. They're going to take the matching token, put it on there. You're then going to take the rest of those starting wildlife, shuffle them in the wildlife deck, shuffle it up, deal out 3. You're going to grab the cards, the forest cards that match your player count. You're going to shuffle those up, and then in a two-player game you're going to put out 3 of these growth piles, little cardboard things, and you're going to deal 1, 2, and 3, and these are going to be between both players. You're going to have your roots supply, you're going to have your supply of your animal tokens, your canopies, and your trunks off to the side. Each player is then going to get a player board and a little box with all their components. They're going to start off their food track at 1, their point track at 3, and this goes on 0. You then are going to grab your ecosystem tokens and choose if you want to play with the advanced set of these 2. If you do not, then you're going to take these 2 out and remove them. Otherwise, you'll randomly remove 2 of your other ecosystem tokens and then include these. You're then going to take those ecosystem tokens and randomly put them on the designated spots on your board where these little circles are. Then each player is going to get 1 root and place it anywhere on their board where the trees are pictured, like so. You're going to set your plus 100 off to the side. I then like to make 3 piles of the highest or the tallest tree tokens to keep track of the rounds. I have 2 in each stack because you are able to tie for them. That just helps me keep track of the rounds. You are then going to give each person a player aid that shows how the turn works. And then if you are wanting to play with the Shifting Seasons expansion, you are going to grab those cards, you are going to shuffle them up and set them out somewhere so everyone can see them, flipping over the top card and flipping over a new one for each season. We are not going to showcase these though. Then the one last thing you're going to do, and you can do this before you do these piles, is you're going to deal out 8 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're not going to look at them. You're going to put this pine cone on top. This is going to be the seed deck. You're going to set that aside for possibly used at the end of the round. With that, whoever last watered a plant is the first player. You are now ready to begin. The first thing you're going to do on your turn is you're going to see if you want to attract any wildlife. You will be spending food to attract wildlife. For a wildlife card, their cost is denoted up here. A couple other things you want to look at is right here. This is a foraging wildlife. This means you're going to get points every round for this wildlife. You also have the end of game wildlife, and then your starting one has an ability that you have this token for that you'll be flipping over when you use that token. The other thing you're going to want to look at is you're going to want to look at these spots down at the bottom of the wildlife. These are their chain, their wildlife chain. Eventually at the end of the game you're going to want to try and match up as many symbols as you can. So these 2 symbols match, and then eventually you're going to want to maybe get a red flower this way, green tree that way, etc. But if you have enough food, you are simply going to pay the food, buy one, and then flip over the next card. Right now we don't have any food, so we cannot attract a wildlife. Next, we are going to look at the first pile and choose if we want it. If we do not want it, we are going to put it back down. We're going to add a card and look at the next pile, choosing if we want to keep it. If not, putting it face down, adding a card, and repeating that with the last pile. If you choose not to take the last pile, you'll put it down, add a card, then you'll draw the top card and choose if you want to keep that or not. When you choose to keep a pile, you're going to take the cards and you're going to add them to your tableau. And then you're going to put 1 card to replace it. Except in a 2-player game, if you take this last pile, you're going to put 2 cards there. The cards have a variety of effect. First off, we will start with some of the scoring ones. So your cattail moss here is for each 2 of these symbols you have. You are going to gain 5 points at the end of the round. You have your trillium, which wants you to get more. So if you only have 1, it's -2, 2 is 4, and 3 is 8. Your salal is, the more you have, the more points you get. Huckleberries doesn't give you points, but it gives you food immediately. If you have an odd number of the symbol, you get 1 food. If you have an even number, you get 3. It cannot be discarded. Chanterelles, you immediately gain 2 food, and then at the end of the season, it scores if you have more water than sun, you get 2 points. Speaking of sun and water, you have your sun and rain. These are going to score at the end. For each pair is 1 point, and whoever has the most sets gets 5. Second most is 2. So in this instance, this would be 3 points because we have 3 pairs. We then have these various cards that are going to give you tree parts. I will get into those in a minute. You then have your threats. The heat wave is you're going to discard any one non-threat card, and then if you have any of the wildfires, this will stay as an additional flame. Otherwise, you will discard it. Wildfires will do nothing when you first get them, but at the end of the round, if you have 2, you'll have to discard 2 cards. If you have 3, you'll have to discard 2 cards, and all of your opponents will have to discard 1. I'll go into that more in detail at end of season. Same thing with this card, the Pine Cone, is at the end of the season we're going to be drawing cards and collecting them from that seed deck. But again, we'll get into that when we get into end of round. So getting into these tree cards. So this first one, you can either grab a trunk or a root. If you grab a root, you are going to put it on your board anywhere that shows a tree icon. If you grab a trunk, you're going to add it to a previously put down root, just like that. So that's that card. The Nurse Log is a special card. There's only 1 of it in the deck in a 2-player game. You're either going to immediately place a root or add 2 trunks to 1 unfinished tree, and then you discard it. You then have these canopy cards that denote this and have a number here, either 1x or 2x. What happens when you get a canopy card is you're going to grab one of the canopies and you're going to add it to an unfinished tree. A finished tree is one that has a canopy on it. So in this instance, I'll add this canopy token, and then because it has the 1 on it, I am going to score 1 point per section. Even though the root is made out of 2 pieces, it is only 1 section, so this is 1, 2, 3 points, and I'd simply move that up 3 sections. You'll now notice these ecosystem tokens. You are going to gain those when you have a canopy tree on either side of the path, but one of them has to at least be a size 3. So if I have this canopied root right here, like so, this is at least a size 3, so I would gain this token, bringing it to my supply to be able to be used in conjunction with various things. The suns and water help you make more pairs and such with the sun and rain. Then you have 1 for each of, or 2 of the Salal symbols, so when you score those, you would add those in. The huckleberry token would count as a huckleberry. So if you already had huckleberries and you grab this, if you had 1 huckleberry, you would now have 2 and would gain 3 food. Again, you have the cattail moss one and the trillium. If you have those other tokens, they have certain effects as well. This one here is you can use it to either replenish the wildlife display or gain a food. And this one would allow you to reuse an animal by reflipping its token. A round is going to end in a 2-player game when the last pile is taken and thus all the cards have been selected. This is an example of what a tableau may look like at the end of a round. You are then going to look at the end of season. Whoever took the last growth pile is who chooses or who goes first in all of these steps. For the most part, it doesn't matter, but this first step, it is somewhat important. That is pine cones. So if you look at a pine cone, it tells you that at the end of the season, for each pine cone you have, you draw 2 seed cards and keep up to 1, plus draw 1 each additional for each flame symbol. So we are already drawing 2. We have the wildfire. The heat wave says if you have any wildfires, this card counts as 1. So it would be like this. So we'd be drawing 2, 3, 4. We would take the seed deck. We would draw 4 cards, 1, 2, 3, and 4, putting the rest back, and then if our opponent had a pine cone, they would then grab the other ones. We are then going to look at our cards and choose which one we want to keep, and we are going to keep the chanterelle, gaining the 2 food and discarding the rest. We then are going to look at our threats. So if we have 2 of the fire symbols, in this instance we do, we need to discard 2 cards from our tableau. In the rule book, it does show you what cards are available to be discarded under Wildfire. It's the Trillium, the Huckleberry, the Cattail Moss, the Chanterelle, or the Salals. So we are going to discard 2 of our Huckleberries because they don't give us points and nothing pertains to them right now. After that, we are going to score any foraging wildlife we have. We have this spotted owl. He gives us 1 point for every 2 canopies. We have 2 trees canopied, so that would give us a point. Our banana slug gives us a point per chanterelle symbol. We have 2, so again, 1 and 2 points. After that, we are going to see who has the tallest tree. We're going to look at our tree segments, and right now I have a size 3. Whoever has the tallest tree segment will get one of these to switch out their canopy with. In Season 1, they get 3 points. In Season 2, they get 4. And in Season 3, they get 5 points. We'll say in this example, my opponent had a taller tree. We then are going to look at the weather. So right now, I have 4 rain and 3 sun. I have this token that can be either or, but I'm going to look and see if the chanterelles want me to have more water than sun. I need to choose which one I use this, and I can't go back and forth. So I can't make it sun for this and then move it over to rain for the chanterelles. So I think I am better served putting it here. All this too would depend on what my opponent had to see who has the most. So this right now would give me 3 points. 1, 2, 3. And let's say my opponent didn't do good getting them. I would then get 5 points for having the most. So this would go to 3, and this goes up 1 more. And that is weather. You then are going to score for your plants and mushrooms, looking at the ones that score. So my Salals, I don't have any of my symbols, my tokens, so this is 2 of them, which gives me 3. Huckleberries don't score. Cattail Moss, I have 2 of those symbols, so that is 5. The Trillium, so right now I only have the 1 card, but I have this token which counts as an additional 1, so I will go from -2 instead to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The chanterelles, they each score 2 if I have more water. I do, so that is another 4. And then these don't score anything at all. And then we are done with the scoring. We are then going to clean up, which is all basically plant cards are going to get collected, shuffled up, and ready for the next round. Your wildlife stays, and any tokens you have unlocked stay unlocked as well. So again, you are going to shuffle it up. You're going to make your seed pile of 8. 8, you're going to be putting out your 1, 2, and 3 again. You're also going to wipe the wildlife display, forming a new display of 3 cards. For another season, whoever has the lowest score is going to go first in that season. You're going to play over 3 seasons, and then you're going to get into endgame scoring. After you do your scoring for end of season in the 3rd season, you are then going to do end of game scoring. End of game scoring is basically dealing with your wildlife. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at your wildlife sets. So a set is how many of each animal you have collected. If you have a set of 2, such as my spotted owls here, that is 2 points. If you have a set of all 3, that is going to give you 5 points. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to look at the chain, and that is, as I said, those symbols along the bottom. This is an example of the longest chain you can have, which is 7 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You'll see all of these symbols match along this bottom, and then this last symbol wraps around to the end. If this did not match here, you would not have the 7 because it does not wrap. So in this instance, if I have 7, that would be 17 points. So we'd go 10, which would give us our 100, and then again to there. Then you are going to score any that have the end of game points. We have 2, 4, and 6. And finally, you are going to get 1 point for every 2 food left over. So I have that, so 1 point. At that point, high score wins. So that is the basics of playing Canopy Evergreen. A lot of the other rules come from all the different the wildlife, the way that they are able to do things, but that is all written on the card and explained in the rulebook as well. But a lot of times they're possibly putting tokens on to try and stop your opponent or get benefits if your opponent chooses a pile. As I said, that is the basics of Canopy Evergreen. Hope that gave you a good idea of how the game plays. I hope you will head down below and hit like, subscribe, comment, share, and ring that bell. Also, if you want to help support the channel in other ways, you can go ahead and join our Patreon. You can hit up our Ko-fi, or you can hit the join button down below to join this channel to get member exclusive perks such as seeing videos early or certain videos that only members are able to see, or maybe even voting in polls to help shape what gets put up on the channel. Alrighty, so until next time, get nature loving.